Mina stood in front of the old wooden house with a small bag in her hand and a tired look on her face. The house had been standing there longer than anyone could remember. Its paint was peeling, the windows looked cloudy, the door made a slow sound when she pushed it open. This was the house where her grandmother lived alone, the same grandmother who now lay sick in a small hospital room far from this place. Mina had not been here for many years. Life took her away, work kept her busy, days passed fast, but when the call came that her grandmother was not well, she did not think twice. She came back. The air inside the house felt heavy and quiet. It smelled of old wood and dust. The clock on the wall ticked slowly, as if time itself was tired. Mina placed her bag down and walked through the hallway. Her footsteps sounded loud in the empty house. She whispered her grandmother's name softly, even though she knew she was not here. The place felt lonely without her. Every small table and chair looked like it was waiting for her to come back. Mina went into the living room. There was a faded sofa, a small table, and a shelf full of old photo frames. She picked up one. It showed her as a little girl holding her grandmother's hand. They both were smiling. Mina felt a tight feeling in her chest. She had not visited as much as she should have. She shook her head and focused. She was here to fix the house so that when her grandmother came back she would have a safe and clean place. The roof leaked, the walls had cracks, some parts of the floor made soft sounds when stepped on. She rolled up her sleeves and started working. First she cleaned the kitchen. Dust covered every surface. The sink had small leaks, the cabinets were loose. Hours passed as she worked. Her hands became dirty, her back started to ache. But she did not stop. She wanted everything perfect. As the day slowly moved toward evening, Mina went to the back room. This room had always been locked when she was young. Her grandmother never let her inside. Mina stood in front of the door and looked at the old metal lock. It was rusty now. She felt a strange pull in her chest. Why was this room always closed? She tried the handle. It opened easily. The door made a long sound as it moved. The room inside was dark. Sunlight came through a small window. Mina stepped in. The air felt colder here. The room was empty except for one old cabinet in the corner. Her heart beat faster. She walked closer. The cabinet had a small key still hanging from it. Mina hesitated. She told herself she was just fixing the house. She should not touch things that were not hers. But something inside her said she needed to know. She took the key. The cabinet opened with a small sound. Inside were papers, old letters, and a small wooden box. Mina took them out and placed them on the floor. The papers looked very old. Some were yellow, some had writing that was hard to read. She picked up one letter. It was written in her grandmother's handwriting. Mina started reading. The words made her breath slow. The letter talked about a child, a secret, a promise never spoken. Mina felt her hands shake. This was not about small things. This was about her family. She kept reading. More letters talked about a baby that had been given away, about fear, about a truth that had been hidden for many years. Mina could not believe what she was seeing. Her grandmother had never talked about this. Mina sat on the floor as the sun moved lower in the sky. Her mind filled with questions. Who was the child? Why was this kept hidden? What did this mean for her? Then she opened the small wooden box. Inside was a tiny bracelet and a photo. The photo showed a young woman holding a baby. Mina stared at it. The woman looked familiar. Too familiar. Her breath caught. The woman in the photo looked like her. Same eyes, same face. Mina felt the room spin. This was not just a story. This was connected to her. Her phone rang suddenly. She jumped. It was the hospital. They said her grandmother's condition had changed. They needed Mina to come. Mina looked at the photo again. Her heart was pounding. What was her grandmother hiding? Why did this secret feel like it was about her own life? Mina placed everything back in the box. She locked the cabinet and rushed out of the room. As she left the house, the sky was dark. The air felt different. Mina felt like she was walking away from something that would never let her go. In the car she kept thinking about the photo, about the letters, about the baby. Her grandmother knew something that could change everything. And Mina was about to face the truth. Mina walked into the hospital with a heavy heart and tired eyes. The bright lights felt too strong. The smell of medicine filled the air. She went straight to her grandmother's room. Her grandmother lay on the bed looking small and weak. Her eyes slowly opened when Mina came close. A soft smile appeared. Mina held her hand. It felt cold. She tried to smile, but her mind was still in the old house, in the locked room, in the letters. Her grandmother whispered her name. Mina leaned closer. The old woman looked at her with eyes full of emotion. There was something different in her gaze, like she had been waiting for this moment. Mina wanted to ask everything about the baby, about the photo, about the secret. But her voice would not come. Her grandmother slowly spoke. She said there were things she should have told long ago. Mina's heart started to beat fast. The old woman said the past was not kind. She said fear made people hide the truth. Mina felt tears fill her eyes. Her grandmother looked at her and said the house was not just a house, it was holding many memories. Mina asked softly if there was something hidden there. Her grandmother closed her eyes for a moment. Then she nodded. Mina felt her chest tighten. The old woman said there was a child born many years ago, a child she could not keep. She said the world at that time was cruel. She was scared she had no one. So she gave the baby away. Mina felt like her heart stopped. Her grandmother said the baby was a girl. Mina's hands started to shake. The old woman said that girl grew up not knowing her real family, not knowing where she came from. Mina whispered if that girl was her. Her grandmother's eyes filled with tears. She said yes. Mina felt the ground disappear under her. All her life she believed her parents were her true family. Now everything felt broken. Her grandmother said Mina was taken in by another family to keep her safe, to give her a better life. Mina cried softly. The old woman held her hand tighter. She said she never stopped loving her. She kept every memory, every photo. Mina remembered the woman in the picture. It was her grandmother when she was young. Mina had been the baby. So many questions filled her mind. Why was this hidden? Why was she never told? Her grandmother said she was afraid of losing her again. Mina felt both anger and sadness. She wanted answers. She wanted the truth. Her grandmother said there was more, something that made this secret even deeper. Mina leaned closer. The old woman whispered that Mina's father was not who she thought. Mina felt her breath catch. Her grandmother said the man who gave Mina away was not a stranger. He was someone powerful, someone who wanted the child gone. Mina's heart started racing. The old woman said Mina had been in danger as a baby. So she made the hardest choice. Mina's head felt heavy. Why would someone want her gone? Her grandmother's eyes filled with fear even now. She said that man never wanted the truth to come out. He had been watching from far away. Mina felt chills. Was someone still watching her now? Her grandmother said the letters in the house were proof of everything. Mina thought about the cabinet, the box, the bracelet. Her grandmother said Mina had to be careful. The truth could change more than just her life. Mina felt a strong mix of fear and strength. She had lived her whole life without knowing who she really was. Now she wanted everything. Her grandmother slowly closed her eyes. She looked very tired. Mina stayed by her side. Her heart felt heavy but also clear. The house was not just broken walls. It was hiding her whole story. And someone out there might not want her to find it. Mina did not sleep that night. Her mind kept going back to the hospital room, to her grandmother's weak voice, to the words that changed everything. When the sun rose, she was already on the road back to the old house. The place no longer felt like just a building, it felt like the center of her life. She unlocked the front door and stepped inside. The air was still quiet, almost like the house was waiting. Mina went straight to the locked back room. Her hands shook as she opened the cabinet. The letters were still there, the wooden box waited. She opened everything again. This time she read slowly. One letter spoke about a man who never wanted a child, a man who feared shame, a man who wanted his past erased. Another letter spoke about how her grandmother hid Mina to save her. Mina realized something. Her life was built on a lie, but that lie had kept her alive. Suddenly she heard a soft sound. The front door. Someone was inside. Mina froze. Her heart began to pound. She listened carefully. Footsteps moved across the floor. Slow, careful. Mina held the small wooden box tight. Who would come here? She walked quietly toward the hallway. A tall man stood there. He looked surprised to see her. He said her name. Mina felt cold. She had never seen him before. He said he had been looking for her. Mina asked who he was. The man said he was her real father. The words hit her like a storm. He said he never wanted her, but now the truth was coming out. He wanted to make sure nothing ruined his life. Mina realized what her grandmother meant. This man had been watching. He tried to take the box. Mina stepped back. She told him he could not erase her anymore. The man became angry. He said the past should stay buried. Mina felt fear, but also something stronger. She felt brave. She held up the bracelet. She told him the truth belonged to her now. The man stopped. Sirens could be heard outside. Mina had called for help when she came. The man tried to run, but it was too late. He was taken away. Mina sat on the floor shaking. The truth had been scary, but it was also freeing. Days later her grandmother smiled when Mina told her everything. Mina now knew who she was. Her life had been built from pain and love. And now she could choose her own future. The house was no longer a place of secrets. It became a place of healing. Mina thought the hardest part was over after that day in the house, but the truth had a way of staying awake even when the world tried to sleep. In the first quiet morning after everything happened, she sat at the kitchen table with a warm cup in her hands and the wooden box in front of her. The house was still the same old place, but it felt different now. It no longer felt like a forgotten corner of the past. It felt like a doorway that had finally opened. Outside the window the street looked normal. A neighbor watered plants. A stray cat walked along the wall. The sky was clear. But inside Mina was carrying a storm made of questions that had waited her whole life. She opened the box again. The bracelet lay inside like a tiny promise. She touched it softly and tried to imagine the hands that once held it for her when she was a baby. She looked at the photo again and again. The young woman in it was her grandmother. Mina could see it now clearly. The same eyes, the same small curve in the smile, the same quiet strength. Mina had grown up thinking she understood her story. Now she realized she only knew the cover page. That afternoon she went back to the hospital. Her grandmother was awake, weak but alert, as if the heavy secret had been slowly pulling her down for years, and now that it had been spoken, her chest could finally rise with less pain. Mina sat beside her and held her hand again. This time Mina did not feel like a stranger in her own life. She felt like someone who had found her name in a book she never knew existed. Her grandmother looked at Mina and whispered that she was sorry. Mina wanted to say she was angry, and she was, but the anger did not feel sharp. It felt tired. It felt like something that had been waiting to be understood. Mina asked one question that kept circling inside her like a bird trapped in a room. She asked why nobody told her, not even the family that raised her. Her grandmother took a slow breath. She explained that Mina was placed with a kind couple who wanted a child, and they promised to keep her safe. They did not want Mina to grow up looking over her shoulder. They wanted her to have a normal life. They did not want the past to follow her like a shadow. Mina listened and tried to match this new truth with her memories. She remembered her childhood home. It was small but clean. She remembered her mother who packed her lunch and kissed her forehead. She remembered her father who taught her how to ride a bike and clapped when she did it without falling. They were not perfect, but they were present. They loved her in the way they knew. Now Mina felt guilty for even questioning that love. But she also felt something else. She felt a deep sadness that she had been split into two lives and never allowed to see the whole picture. Her grandmother squeezed her hand. She said the family that raised Mina did not steal her. They saved her. They kept their promise. Mina stared at the hospital blanket and nodded slowly. It did not erase her pain, but it gave her something stronger than anger. It gave her balance. Then Mina asked the question that scared her most. She asked if anyone else knew the truth. Her grandmother looked away for a moment. Then she admitted that one person knew and had always known. A woman from the neighborhood, an old friend, someone who helped deliver Mina when she was born. Someone who kept quiet but never forgot. Mina asked for the name. Her grandmother said it softly. She said Sarah. Mina repeated it in her mind. Sarah. A simple name, but it sounded like a key. That evening Mina drove to a small house 2 streets away from the old one. It was a modest place with a neat yard and a small light glowing from a window. Mina stood at the gate for a few seconds, breathing slowly, as if she was trying to calm her heart before it could run away again. She knocked. A woman opened the door. She was older, with gray hair tied back and gentle eyes that looked like they had seen too many secrets. Mina introduced herself. The woman stared for a moment, as if time had stopped. Then she stepped back and let Mina in without asking anything else. Mina noticed her hands were shaking slightly, like she already knew why Mina came. They sat in the living room. The woman offered tea. Mina said no. Mina needed words more than warmth. Mina told her that she had found letters in the old house. She told her she had spoken to her grandmother. She told her she wanted the full truth. Sarah took a long breath and nodded. She said she had been waiting for this day in her own quiet way. She said she never thought it would come, but she always feared it might. Sarah told Mina about the night she was born. It was raining. The power went out. The house was dark. Mina's grandmother was young then, frightened, and alone. She had tried to hide her pregnancy from everyone. She had tried to pretend it was not real. But when the time came, there was no hiding. Sarah had helped. Sarah said Mina was born small, but strong. She did not cry much. She looked around like she was already studying the world. Sarah smiled when she said it, and Mina felt her throat tighten. She had never heard a story about her birth before. It felt strange to finally hear it, like hearing your own name spoken in a room you have never entered. Mina asked about the man. Sarah's face changed. Not angry, not afraid, but serious. Sarah said the man came later. Not during the birth, but after. He was young then, wearing clean clothes and a cold expression. He did not look like someone who belonged in a house with peeling paint and a frightened young woman. He looked like someone who had options. Sarah said he was not gentle. He spoke in a way that made the air heavy. He said the child would ruin him. He said the child should not exist in his life. Mina felt her hands clench in her lap. Sarah continued. She said Mina's grandmother begged him to help or at least to leave them alone. But he did not want to be tied to anything. He wanted to be free, and he wanted the story to disappear. Sarah said that after he left, Mina's grandmother cried for hours, holding Mina close, whispering promises. Promises of safety. Promises of love. Promises that she could not keep in a simple way. So Mina's grandmother made a plan. She found a couple who wanted a child. She made sure they were kind. She made sure they lived far enough that the man could not easily find them. She made sure Mina would grow up without fear. Mina asked Sarah why she never told Mina anything. Sarah looked at Mina with tired eyes and said because Mina looked happy. Sarah said she watched Mina grow, from far away, like someone watching a garden they once planted but could not claim. Sarah said she saw Mina laughing outside school once, and she decided that silence was sometimes a form of protection. Mina felt tears rising, not only because of the pain, but because of how many people had carried this truth quietly. When Mina left Sarah's house, the street was dark and calm. But Mina's mind was loud. She drove back to the old house and stood in the doorway. She looked at the walls and the floor and the tired roof. Before, She saw a repair project. Now, she saw a place that held a whole hidden life. She walked to the locked room again and stood still. She did not open the cabinet this time. She just stood there and let herself feel everything. Then she did something unexpected. She took out her phone and opened a note. She started writing down questions. Real questions. Not angry questions, but honest ones. What did Mina want now? Did she want to meet the people who raised her and ask why they never told her? Did she want to keep the truth private and live the same way? Did she want to rebuild a relationship with her grandmother in a new way, with no secrets? Mina realized the truth did not decide her future. She decided it. The next morning she visited her grandmother again. Mina brought a small notebook. She told her grandmother she was not there only to listen. She was there to understand and to plan. Her grandmother looked nervous. Mina told her she was not leaving. Not this time. Mina said she would finish fixing the house. She said she would make it warm and safe. She said she would be there when her grandmother came home. Her grandmother's eyes filled with tears. She whispered that she did not deserve such kindness after hiding the truth. Mina said softly that love was not a reward. Love was a choice. And Mina was choosing it. But Mina also made one thing clear. She said there would be no more locked doors between them. No more closed rooms. No more letters hidden like shame. Her grandmother nodded. Days passed. Mina worked on the house again. She repaired the leaking sink. She patched cracks in the wall. She cleaned the windows until the sunlight came through brighter. She fixed the loose cabinet doors. She replaced broken tiles. Each repair felt like a small way of telling the past that it could not control her anymore. As she worked, she noticed something else. Neighbors started coming by more often. Some asked how her grandmother was doing. Some offered help. Some asked questions about why Mina was back. Mina kept it simple. She said her grandmother was sick, and she was fixing the house. But Mina could feel the way people looked at her now. The secret had moved. Maybe it was already traveling through whispers, the way small towns pass stories like bread. One afternoon Mina found a small envelope in the mailbox with no name on it. No stamp. Just paper. Her hands went cold. She opened it carefully. Inside was a single line written in plain ink. Let the past stay quiet. Mina stared at it for a long time. Then she did something that surprised even her. She did not panic. She did not hide. She did not run. She took the paper, walked to the kitchen, and placed it on the table. Then she picked up her phone and called the hospital. She asked to speak to a social worker. She asked about legal steps. She asked about protection. She asked about records. She asked how to move forward safely. Mina understood the message was meant to scare her. But it only made one thing clear. The truth mattered. And if someone wanted it buried, then Mina was standing exactly where she needed to stand. That night Mina sat on the porch of the old house. The air was cool. The street was quiet. The sky held a few stars. Mina looked at the house and thought about all the people who might be watching, all the people who might be whispering, all the people who might be afraid of the truth. Then she thought about viewers like you. People who have their own family secrets. Their own locked rooms. Their own questions that never got answered. Mina made a promise to herself. She would not live in fear. She would not live in silence. She would live in honesty, even if it was hard. And the next day, she began the biggest repair of all. Not the roof. Not the walls. The story of her own life. If you were Mina, would you open that locked room or would you leave it closed forever? Also tell me where you are watching from, which city or country, because I want to know how far this story traveled through the world.